Is there a plan to conduct a red heifer sacrifice in 2024 in Jerusalem, Israel, that is? Michael Snyder reports. All of a sudden, people all over the world are talking about the possibility that there could be a red heifer sacrifice in Israel in 2024. And those that are Jewish are talking about the possibility of a red heifer sacrifice because many of them believe that it would be a giant step towards reinstituting their ancient sacrificial system for the first time in nearly 2,000 years. Christians are talking about the possibility of a red heifer sacrifice because many of them believe that it would be a giant step towards the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. And Muslims are talking about the possibility of a red heifer sacrifice because many of them believe that there is a plot to take over the Temple Mount and remove the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And in fact, once a red heifer sacrifice actually takes place, Muslims all over the globe are likely to go absolutely nuts. In 2022, 5 perfect red heifers were flown into Israel from the state of Texas. At that time, they were not old enough to be sacrificed, but by this year, 2024, they will be. According to Yitzhak Mamo, qualified priests have been prepared to conduct the sacrifice. The land on the Mount of Olives where the sacrifice will take place is ready and the altar has been constructed. CBS News recently interviewed Mamo, and in that article, the white altar that has been built was described as massive. A massive white altar awaits where they are to be burned on a plot of land overlooking the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. Mamo said the ceremony must be performed looking directly into where the ancient Second Temple stood until it was destroyed by the Romans in the year 70 AD. And the photo of the altar in the last article I did about the red heifers, and I will share the photo again in this article for those who have not yet seen it. And this is it. So when it finally happens, this will be just the 10th red heifer that has ever been sacrificed. Only 9 heifers have been sacrificed since the time of Moses, until the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. The Ramdam Maimonides stated that the 10th red heifer ceremony would bring in the Messianic age. Likewise, evangelical Christians who hold a futuristic view of Bible prophecy believe a third temple will be built and subsequently desecrated by the Antichrist before the return of Messiah Yeshua. And thus, for many in the religious Jewish community, as well as many evangelicals, there has been a great deal of anticipation surrounding these quote-unquote ladies in red, the heifers that is. So when will it happen? That is what everyone wants to know. The red heifers must be sacrificed because when they get too old, the clock is ticking. When he was asked about this in early 2023, Yitzhak Mamo told CBN News that a sacrifice would take place a year and a half from the future, and that would put the red heifer sacrifice in the second half of 2024. But when he was recently asked about this by another network, Mamo indicated that a sacrifice could happen at any time. Back at his settlement in the West Bank, Mamo told CBS News the heifers need only pass a final purity test. The ceremony that he hoped will resurrect the temple and usher in the Messiah could take place any day. And All Israel News recently reported that the Temple Institute actually wants to conduct a red heifer sacrifice before Passover 2024. As of now, 4 of the heifers remain blemish-free. According to the Temple Institute rabbis, they hope to carry out the ceremony before Passover 2024. In 2024, Passover falls on April 22nd. I wish I had more specific information for you. At this moment, we just know precisely when the red heifer will be sacrificed, but we don't know when it'll be sacrificed, but I'm entirely convinced that the sacrifice is planned for 2024. And when it happens, Israel's enemies are going to be completely insane. Most people don't realize about this, but Hamas has indicated that the red heifers were one of the reasons why of the October 7 event in Israel. In November, a senior Palestinian source in contact with Hamas leadership told MEE that the group had been closely monitoring efforts to secure a permanent Jewish presence in Al-Aqsa Mosque. The only thing left is the slaughtering of the red heifers, which they imported from the US, and if they did that, it's the signal to rebuild the third temple, said the source. In January, Abu Obaida, spokesperson for Hamas military wing, made a speech marking 100 days since the group's 7 October event in Israel near the Gaza Strip. In it, he made a direct link between Hamas' decision and the Third Temple activists importing the cattle, which he said was an aggression against the feelings of an entire nation, quote unquote. And now Hezbollah is apparently making noise about the red heifers. The following comes from Israel 365 news article entitled Hezbollah Threatens the Red Heifers. A conference was held in ancient Shiloh on Wednesday, and while the event dealing with an esoteric Torah commandment attracted only about 120 attendees and no Israeli media attention, Hezbollah saw fit to publicly threaten the gathering. At the conference, a couple of the speakers actually had prepared for the event. Now, in many days, the Red Heifer Conference was like any other in many ways. Rabbis and religious scholars delved into the details of the Torah. A couple of people in the crowd gently nodded off under the dimmed lights. In other words, it was unique. The first two speakers stood at the lectern with rifles on their shoulders. Hezbollah found out about this event and have been talking about it on Telegram. Kobi Mamo, head of the ancient Shiloh archaeological site, said in his opening remarks, "We live in such unusual times. It has been estimated that sacrificing just one red heifer, would produce enough cleansing water for 660 billion purifications. It would also send tensions in the region to levels that we have never seen before. But for those that brought these red heifers over to Israel, the clock is ticking. About $500,000 has been spent on this project so far, and if they wait too long, all of the heifers will be disqualified because it would be too old. So even though it will cause massive shockwaves all over the planet, I believe that they will attempt to sacrifice the red heifers at some point in 2024, and that will set in motion a chain of events that nobody is going to be able to stop." And this is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Michael's new book entitled Chaos, available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon, and you can check out his new Substack newsletter right here. About the author, Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book, Chaos, available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and share his articles on your own social media accounts. It's definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.